Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening. You're watching the NewsNight. I know this is a story that has got everyone riveted. It's a story that has left so many questions. But this is now confirmed. Big money, hired guns, cold-blooded plot. There is no speculation anymore, absolutely no. There is no room for any kind of doubt. Let's bring up the characters we are talking about on our screens because there are no whispers. Sonam is the one who ordered the kill. This is now confirmed. And like I said, the biggest break that you have seen coming in on NDTV. It is Sonam who wanted her husband, Raja, dead. She plotted this, she got in the killers, and she got him killed. Now this is crystal clear. What Sonam has confessed earlier today, ladies and gentlemen, is sensational. It is big. It is quite chilling, to say the least. Because clearly a lot of you have been wondering that when Sonam has committed a crime like this, how did she manage to do everything all by herself? Who provided the money? Now the big money was paid to the killers of Raja Raghuvanshi is also very clear. The top cop that we have spoken to on NDTV says big money. How big is this money? Is it about 5 lakhs? Is it about 10 or a little more than that? And from where did Sonam get all this money? This is what now the investigative agencies want to find out, but they say that there is big money that changed hands. And this then is the biggest TV interview that you will watch here on NDTV as we will unravel that story. And you know, the other questions that we've asked consistently, a lot of you also while watching the broadcast and otherwise have written to us on our social media handles. Did Sonam's family know about this relationship with Raj? Because they for the longest time have said we had no idea. We had absolutely no idea. We've disowned. Earlier, in fact, there are images that have come in of the two brothers, the ones that you see on your screens. The two brothers holding a press conference. And Sonam's brother saying, we disown Sonam. We have absolutely nothing to do with her. So was this family aware about the relationship? Were they aware of Sonam's motives to kill her husband? Were they a part of this? Were they complicit? Or were they always in the dark? Who arranged tickets for the hired killers? Who gave in all that money? How did the killers escape? Those are still questions that are begging answers. So we decided to dig deep. Now it's a story, remember, of multiple twists and turns. And it is also a story that has just begun to unravel. And like I said, a story that has gripped everyone, a story that has traveled through multiple states. From Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh to Bihar to Shillong. And Sonam, as we speak, is right now in the custody of the Shillong police. Joining us on this edition of the NewsNight, and as we promised, the biggest newsmaker that you're seeing on the entire story is someone who's been fronting this investigation. Marek joins us. I want to quickly say good evening to him. He's the IGP of the Meghalaya Police. Sir, thank you so much for your time. I want to ask you straight up, as we will keep a lot of these facts also on our screens with images of the lady in question, Sonam, the husband who's dead, and an alleged affair, and a lot of things gone wrong. When you first came to know of this entire incident, a lot of people say it sounds very filmy, sounds very unreal. What were the theories, sir, that you began your work on when you discovered everything on the story?
We had 2-3 they could have fallen out and had an accidental fall, and because it was during a very heavy rainfall on those days. Then secondly, we thought the other probability could be they might have been abducted or murdered, that possibility. Or third, we were suspecting right from the third, fourth day when we were searching that probability, it could be that love triangle or dispute over property. Every possibility was there. So we were looking from various angles on this case.
Okay, so you were actually working on these theories, but the story has, moved from those theories to a confession today, sir. And I want to ask you this, because NDTV was first to break this, that Sonam has put forward a confession. She has admitted. Tell me more about this, and how many people involved in this crime?
Practically, Sonam and those 3 men were there on the spot. and Raj Kushwaha was back there and where he was. But then all this conspiracy, as far as we know, as of now, it is these five people.
Okay, I think what you say is again significant, but people would also want to know, and I want to see if we can bring up images also of Sonam. Sonam at the time of her marriage to Sonam now, we've seen her largely covered, her face covered in that black cloth. She hasn't spoken much. Now, there is also a lot of speculation about whether Sonam was acting alone, she was under some kind of a pressure. What would you say? I mean, is there any kind of remorse, repentance? I mean, I'm looking at that picture right now, sir, also on our screens of Sonam earlier today.
That we will have to establish, and we'll be able to establish only after we question them thoroughly in these coming days.
But Sonam, has she largely been cooperative? She spent a few hours with your police, your entire team. Is there any bit of remorse, repentance? What have you been able to figure out? What really have been the expressions that she has shared with the team after a crime that has shocked the entire country?
She is under shock. However, she is cooperating. And so far she is okay. She gives cooperation, yes.
Okay, and we must tell our viewers that a lot of these questions, remember, that the cops have been asking to Sonam and will ask over the course of the next many days, as they've been able to secure a remand, are already on your screens. Because clearly there is more to this story than what meets the eye. But like I said, what has been confirmed that yes, there is a confession. There are hired killers. Big money has changed hands. But sir, let me also ask you more about the regret. Has there been any kind of regret? Does Sonam realize the enormity of what she has done and how she has shocked the entire country also? The families are also in a state of shock.
Yes, definitely. I think some remorse is there in her mind because she is not that expressive anymore at the moment. And she has just come in, so we won't be able to assess her actual state of mind or emotions. In a couple of days, I think we will be able to know how she really behaves or feels in this situation.
Okay, I think the last bit of what you said is important, so I'll just repeat it with your permission now. He says that there is some remorse in her mind. Now, clearly, we do not know whether this is real remorse or not, considering that she very well realized the enormity of what she is doing, sir. She marries a man where she wanted him dead later, but why would anyone want to do this? And that is why the question of motive is, I think, important. That will come forward in the course of this investigation. But the next thing that I want to know is, there has been a confession. But what were those moments like where she finally cracked under pressure? I do know that your team has been working day in and day out. You've cracked the case in flat 7 days. But what were those moments of confession like? Did she really break down? Did she cry?
She has just been picked up, so we are also getting only the second-hand report that she has admitted. So I won't be able to give you the exact description of how it was.
All right, so I realize you might not be wanting to talk about the entire sequence of events, but considering that a lot of these people that you wanted are right now in your custody, so this possibly could be a watertight case, but we'll have to see how the investigations go on, sir. How long was this planning going on? When is it that Sonam decided that she is going to kill her husband? When did she do that?
That we are yet to establish. Only further interrogation will we'll have to find the motive and also the planning they have done, exact how they have done it. After a couple of days, probably we will be able to.
Okay, so you say that you're still waiting for more details to come out when it comes to the exact sequence of event, because clearly this is a matter of days. You marry, you travel for an honeymoon, you suddenly vanish only to find out that the husband is dead. The wife is the mastermind along with her alleged lover. So clearly there is more to the story than what meets the eye, sir. Now tell me something, what about the motive? Is there absolutely any more idea about the motive? Was she being blackmailed? Was she under any kind of pressure, as a lot of these theories are doing the round?
No, we don't know about that, if she was under any pressure. But from what we can see, the way they had been conducting themselves, I don't think there is any pressure on her particularly. At the moment, we feel that there is no pressure on her. And then he and Raz must have planned it together and executed it with the help of those other three assailants.
Okay, important that you say that it is both Sonam and the alleged boyfriend who actually plotted this murder, and you essentially want us to believe that they were the mastermind. Now, what about the role of the family here, sir? Because the family has come forward. Initially, they were in disbelief. They've said that somewhere there is something in the story that does not connect. She's being targeted. She's a victim. Are we to believe that the family was not in the know?
We cannot say about that. Perhaps they might have got some inkling about how she was conducting herself in her own place. Family should be knowing something, but we do not have information on that.
Okay, but you do say that, that perhaps the family would have been aware. I think this is important because a lot of that was going on. And someone working very closely with your family, you can see a lot of these relationships, as a lot of people have discussed. So is it that the family decided to ignore it or whatever? But what about these hired killers, sir? When do these killers come into the picture? The police has interrogated them for some time. How much money was possibly given to them is a question I will ask you in just a moment. But tell me something, how were they hired? Who hired them?
We don't have that detailed information on that. What we know is that they had come, this three men came almost at the same time. When Sonam and the husband had come to Shillong, they went to Cherrapunji on the same time. And the same mode of transport, they had hired scooties. And then they had stayed almost in the same nearby guest houses. And like very conveniently on the next day, like 2 days, they have met these three people have met the couple, and they went along and they have done what they have done. That much is what we got to know. And they had used those two bikes, which they hired to escape after the crime was committed.
So I think that bit again is significant. You've said that you're still waiting for details when it comes to the hitmen. How were they really contacted? Was there, a common conduit? Three men, you say, they come at the same time. They use the same mode of transport. They almost stayed nearby. Now, this was important for viewers to know. So there was no pretense. There was not even an attempt to distance yourself from these killers. That is how brazen this crime is. On your screens are also images right now, sir, that we are playing out of these three killers who were nabbed. In fact, these are hitmen. So we must call them hitmen. The hired hitmen, who were picked up by the Indore police there. They were handed over to the Shillong police. All of them belong to Madhya Pradesh. How is it that Sonam really came in touch with them? What is the kind of money, sir, we are discussing? Because, there are multiple figures being thrown around. And I'm really curious. How much money did Sonam offer the hitman to ensure that her husband is dead?
We don't have the exact information on that, but we have been told that they were paid with some.
Okay, you're saying actually that big money was paid. So that is getting confirmed that yes, it was Sonam who ordered the kill, and Sonam offered big money to ensure that her husband is dead. Now, why would someone do that is the next follow-up question, sir. And I know that you have limited time, and I still want to thank you for speaking to us on NDTV. Before I let you go, I want to understand that in your many, many years of policing, as you've seen a lot of these criminals, people today are shocked by the enormity, by the impact, and by the precision which everything was actually planned. Now, they say that no crime is perfect because there are always some clues that you leave here and there. When you look at this, how Sonam operated along with the alleged lover, what is your sense of this entire episode, this entire murder, sir?
What I would like to say that we have seen how criminals act. They always feel that how they plan and what they do, how they execute, it is perfect. But we can say that they always leave some clue somewhere which helps police to investigate and find the culprits ultimately. So no crime can be committed perfectly most of the time. But there are times when some of the crimes cannot be detected.
All right, I think these are very, very important and sensational details, sir, that you have shared with us, for breaking your silence, for unraveling that plot bit by bit, and for also ensuring that, we have some bit of movement in the entire case, because otherwise it looked bizarre, really out of a movie. As a lot of people have said, I'm going to be thanking you for your time, and we'll reconnect as soon as there is more update on the story. But we must remember that this is a story far from over. But this is a story now that has got a confirmation for the very first time that yes, Sonam was the mastermind. Sonam hired the killers. Sonam ensured that big money is paid to these killers. But what is this big money we are talking about? How did this money travel to them? Who arranged for their tickets? Who arranged for the escape? And the biggest question out of everything, the motive. What was the motivation of Sonam to ensure her husband is dead? Clearly, that's the big story we'll keep our focus on. Let's, in fact, get you more details as far as what the police will possibly be doing now, because they have been able to secure a remand. But like I said, and like you just heard the top cop speaking about, what the police still needs to investigate when it comes to the case, the money trail. Like I said, there is money. That is a confirmation now coming in. So what is this money we are talking about? How did this money travel to these hired killers? Did Sonam do this directly or via someone else? Is that person also under the radar? I think that's an important bit that will be discovered by the police. And on your screens there, the lady that you see there along with the two women constables is actually Sonam. Does she regret everything? We still do not know. The other things that the cops would want to investigate is that where the accused went after the murder. You killed the husband, but then where do you go? Had you planned everything with precision? And was there more support coming in for you? This brings us to a third important thing that the police will be investigating about the links of the entire conspiracy. Where do they go? Right now, you've just heard the IGP saying that we believe that there are 5 people involved. Those 5 people are all arrested. But when they will be putting all of them face to face, connecting the dots, could there be a larger conspiracy here that we still do not know? Again, like I said, we will track that bit also very closely. This brings us to our next important point that the police will have to investigate as far as the story goes. A joint interrogation of Sonam, Raj and the other accused. That possibly, we are given to understand that one round already has happened, and there could be more rounds of that face-to-face interrogation that will continue through this night and maybe also till tomorrow, because we do know that the next few hours very critical. She will also be taken to the crime scene. But I also want to see if we can now get in our colleague Saurabh, who's been tracking the story. And Saurabh has spent a considerable time tracking Sonam, tracking investigation, also going back and revisiting the crime scene. He's our best eyes and ears on the ground. And Saurabh, as I introduce you on the show, we want to keep in mind that this is still an active investigation. But for our viewers tuning in, wondering what happened in the courts earlier, why don't you tell us that what did you see when Sonam was produced in the court? And what is the kind of argument that was made? What is it that the police said?
Well, the court proceedings today were largely about the police arguments, and the police told the court what all they needed to do, including confront the accused, including recover the mobile phone, and also carry on the investigation forward, tie up the loose ends, ensure that all the evidence that's there on the ground, etc., are recovered, and also completely find out what the conspiracy was, based on which the court passed its order. And the court, of course, has given 8 days police custody of all the accused, which the police will use, of course, to investigate this case further.
All right, sort of important details, but I'm just requesting you to stay with us, as I also want to tell our viewers and widen the horizon now, because clearly now you're able to place pieces of this jigsaw as it has been unraveled by the police, by the investigative agencies. So ladies and gentlemen, let's reintroduce the cast of characters. Who really are the characters we are talking about? All the characters involved in this conspiracy. But let's look at them again. Raja Raghuvanshi, he is killed. He is the husband. He had absolutely no idea when he married Sonam that this is going to be his fate. His family today is devastated. They say, we want a CBI investigation. That is how fate is. Let's bring up the next character on all our screens. Sonam Raghuvanshi, the main accused. Now we can call her the mastermind. The mastermind who hired the killers, who ensured that big sum, big money is paid to the killers. Does she have any kind of repentance? We do not know. Is there any remorse? We do not know. But we can confirm that she has confessed, and sensational details. She, along with the other accused, that is Raj Kushwaha, the alleged lover of Sonam, who's, remember, also seen in multiple videos, multiple pictures. And in fact, we have the first pictures of Raj Kushwaha and Sonam also out today. And I'm going to play that out in just a moment. But he today, also the police believes, is an equal accused. He is also the mastermind. So how did the money change hands? Was he the one giving money to the hired killers? Again, this is something that we will figure out during the course of the investigation. Now let's get in the hitman. Now there are 3 hired killers. Hired killers. So this means that their profession, their job is to kill. These are hired guns for big money. But how did Sonam get in touch with these people? Did she know them already? Or did she get to know them through someone? Did someone refer to, these people? And did Sonam discuss that she wanted her husband to be dead? Now all these, Akash, we saw, this is Vikas alias Vicky. A lot of their residences were also raided, and there is information that even a blood-stained shirt has been recovered by the police. The other accused here is Anand. So right now, all of them are in the custody of the Shillong police. And when you see the story, you will realize that there is a good amount of planning, remember, that has gone into this. And this is the picture I was talking about. The first picture of the 2 of them together. The family says, we had no idea. And if Sonam is guilty, the brother today has said, you hang her. We don't want anything to do with her. But you just heard the top cop of Meghalaya saying, it is hard to believe that the family had no idea. So Raj and Sonam together, the first picture of them together. This relationship, the dark truth, did the family know or not? Both together as far as this particular crime is concerned. Saurabh, now the next obvious question that has to be asked, and what our viewers would want to know, is what happens next? What happens from here till the next many days, till the police has been able to secure the custody of all these accused? When is it that they will be taken for a recce when it comes to the crime scene and a lot of other things?
Well, at this point, what the police are going to do over the next few days is also quite clear. They're going to actually look at the evidence that they already have, fill in the gaps that exist in the investigation, look at how they can build an airtight case, look at what all is missing, look at if there's anything else that is being kept a secret. Because remember, the police investigation is still continuing. Today also there have been raids, etc., searches, etc. All of that is taking place simultaneously as the police also interrogate these accused over how this crime panned out. And that's why it's important for the police to make the best use of these 8 days to come up with a foolproof case. And if needed, they can always extend the custody further.
Absolutely, and I'm just wondering, whether the family will also be interrogated now, because I somewhere believe that there is a larger role of the family here. The way the family has responded to a lot of these questions that have been raised and these pictures coming out, we do not know. But clearly, this is not a 1+1 story. There is more to the story. You've seen press conferences. You've seen a mother versus a mother battle happening today live on televisions. You've seen both the brothers then, interestingly, coming together to speak about what has happened. And Sonam's brother, I repeat this again, saying we have nothing to do with Sonam. We've disowned her. We had no idea absolutely of what was going on between Raj and Sonam, in the mind of Sonam, that she wanted to get her husband killed. The family says we had no idea. But can you believe them? Clearly, these are again questions that will beg an answer. Now let me move on to help you understand more of the story. The evidence is at hand and the entire trail. Because the trail is important, and like I said, it's a story that has traveled multiple states. See, where it begins is from Indore. Sonal's crime trail begins from Indore, where she travels for honeymoon with Raja, and you will see the entire map now getting colored because the entire movement is where it begins from Indore, then she travels to Shillong. Now, the police will have to then tell us whether it is Sonam who decided to go to Shillong. She thought maybe we'll travel to a far-flung area. No one will get to know. In a remote area, we can stage a lot of things. We can speak about a lot of conspiracy theories. But like the IGP said, no criminal is smart enough and all criminals leave a trail behind. So what happens later? To Cherrapunji. Again, in a deep gorge is where the body of the husband is found. After there was this entire concern that the couple has gone missing, both the husband and the wife, then you see in Guwahati, after Raja's murder, they travel by car to Guwahati as per the police. So clearly, all this and the escape, the route, was planned by Sonam and the alleged lover. Then there is a Patna connection to the entire story. What is that? Is that they take a train to Patna to allegedly cover the tracks. Can you think of someone, an ordinary person, wanting to do all this? Is this all Sonam's mind? Is this all Sonam's planning? Or there is more to this? Clearly, an investigation will only answer those questions. The next stop we are talking about on the trail is Siliguri. Now, this is where they travel next to Siliguri. Again, the idea is to go on to multiple places, to distract the investigative agencies, and to perhaps ensure that you are not located anywhere. But then let's get in the next spot. This is Indore, and then she takes a train to Indore. She stays with Raj, and all this time, no one knows about her whereabouts. Then the next stop is Varanasi. This is when she travels by taxi to Varanasi. So some places is a train, some is a taxi, again to not establish a pattern. The next stop is Ghazipur, from where you see that picture of Sonam, a distraught one in a black t-shirt. She appears at a thana. She travels to Ghazipur, and we are given to understand she decides to surrender. Then the next stop is also Patna, from where on June the 9th, arrested, flown to Patna the next day. And that is from where you will see the police picking her up, flown to Guwahati, then later driven on that road to Shillong. And this is then where the unraveling of the entire story, ladies and gentlemen, really begins. As the custom is on Newsnight, we always have a parting shot, but I'm going to hold back the parting shot, because we want to wait to see how many more revelations really come in this story. But thank you for staying with us, and we at NDTV promise to unravel, to get you the fastest updates and the newsmakers that matter on a story that has baffled every one of us. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.